must come from what the people need. That is the manifestation, what your constituency and your villages need. And then you prioritize. Then you go to the person who is supposed to be participating for you in the parliament. He is not your representative. The people start to represent themselves. All we need to do is to send someone to participate with them in the parliament and tell them people down there want that. For instance, in Labrie. Labrie sold out. Everything in Labrie has been sold out. Labrie have unemployment. Labrie have murders, robberies, just like all about. So we need to make this change. We need to make this change. And the young people need to take their future in hand. That is my problem. The young people have to step up now and take the future of their lives in their hands. That is the time for it. Now.
All right, so we're going to take a short break. We're going to give you our 1 o'clock news update and come back inside with the Jamaat al-Muslimin Speaks, right here on WACK 90.1 FM.
Good afternoon, I'm Leanne Sinclair and this is your 1 o'clock news update on WACK 90.1 FM. Finally, the People's National Movement's Labrie constituency now has a candidate, and its National Gas Company executive, Stephen McClashy. Mr. McClashy was selected by the party's screening team last night after a screening session at Queen's Hall in St. Anne's. St. Joseph MP Terence D'Alsing said he did not intend to make the mistake of thinking that his handling of the COVID-19 crisis in this country would guarantee success in the upcoming general election. The Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts wishes to clarify the government's position on the hosting of Carnival 2021. No final decision has yet been taken by the government on the hosting of Carnival for next year. Regionally, at least 2 people have died after a 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit Mexico's southern coastline yesterday, collapsing buildings and prompting evacuations. The earthquake occurred at 10:29 a.m. local time. In international news, U.S. President Donald Trump's top health advisors say that the coronavirus pandemic has driven America to its knees amid a disturbing surge in cases. Stay tuned for another news update at the top of the hour and our major newscast coming up at 4 p.m. right here on WACK 90.1 FM.
Keep it locked on the true nation station, WACK 90.1 FM.
Are we back?
Yes, sir.
I want to preempt something that is going to happen to brainwash the voters. Yeah. This year, the 5th year, the election year, you're going to see the opening of some hospitals. You're going to see the opening of some community centers and all these things. But dress back a little bit. Let me deal with the hospitals and they say the QURP interchange, right? These contracts were done mainly by the Chinese. When these contracts are done with design, finance, and construct. Let me repeat that. The Chinese comes to do a contract to build a hospital in India. I mean, in Arima, it is design. They design the project. They finance the project, mean they put the money for the project. Design, finance, and construct, right? Now, here what happens. During this process, somebody during this process will receive at 20%. Somebody during this process receives 20%, 25%, whatever it is, inside the contract itself. So if it's 400 million, it's going to be 400 plus 20%. Now, when that is inbuilt into the contract, no forensic, investigation could unearth that, because that is part of that is part of the contract, and that somebody takes off that on top. Somebody take it off on top. The politicians, whoever, they take that 20%. So the Chinese build this place for the 400 plus the 20%, and your grandchildren have to pay. You have any idea, Trinidadians, what the public debt is? You have any? And of course, it is not really the public debt. The public debt is if the public borrow some money, but the public debt is more than 70 something. More than 70, so that's your debt. That means your children, your grandchildren, and your great-great-grandchildren have to pay back. They have to pay the Chinese for them hospitals. Don't feel they think this is not the government of Trinidad and Tobago money that build the hospitals. This is the Chinese that they design it, they finance, they construct it, and they put the 20% of how much the government want inside of that. So you could do any forensic thing you want, you will find that you can do nothing to them because that is the contract sum. Take the calls.
Hi, good afternoon. You're live.
Hey, Damian, my brother, how are you going?
I'm good.
Mr. Barker, good day.
Good day, sir.
2 questions I want to ask. When these statues was erected, and if these gentlemen was so terrible as to say, why they was erected in the first place if these guys was, as I heard somebody read out, went to that history book and reading this morning on another program that, especially Gandhi, somebody nasty things he said about African people, and also some of these other guys who was murderers of slaves and all kind of things. If they were so bad, why did they honor them by erecting a statue honoring them in the first place? I will listen off here.
Yeah, well, of course, what Columbus did, I was not around. Otherwise, Columbus would have never dare put up a statue, he or his government, his Spain would have never dare put up that. Just like how I protested now. Just like how they come and take Port of Spain, where the Africans used to be down making a little country band with Venezuela, and they have no seacoast in the capital city, which is St. Joseph, so they come in town. They make the Africans dig the whole of the dry river, full up Port of Spain, which is Marsland, make the Africans dig the whole of the next thing and full up Port of Spain, and now the African have with pickaxe, shovel, and donkey cart, They don't have Junior Sammy, Kusal, Siram, they didn't have that, It's pickaxe, shovel, donkey cart. How that happened? And I explained to you, you don't understand sometimes the process of things, The Syrians are here less than 100 years. How they come to be filthy rich? How they come to own all the properties in Port of Spain? The properties in Port of Spain belonged to the slaves, because when the master left, the slave was living in the backyard behind. How come they take all the... First of all, the Syrians who came here, they were Muslims. When they look around and they see what's going on, they say, boy, the Catholic Church in charge, we jump in the Catholic Church. It had no Catholic Church in Syria. It had a man who protested against the enslavement by the French. Before the French was the colonial master. Lakis is a French name. Go and look at the names and see if them have anything to do with Syria. Lakis is French. Go and look at the other names. And you will see that the gendarmerie, the French gendarmerie, it was a wicked, evil because the France took all of the prisoners, and put them in an army called the French Foreign Legion, and they were wicked and vicious. They massacred people in Morocco, Tunisia, in Algeria. They massacred people because they were just criminals in a prison, and they take them out and put them in an army. They didn't care. They had no scruples and nothing. The same thing with after the war. The British take all the prisoners and put them in Australia, and they massacre the thing because there's criminals and murderers, and they massacre them. Let me tell you something. And have a man called Austin. He was a murderer, and look at how big he get in America. And I'll call the next one for you, Houston. They named the place in Texas after Houston had a dagger on the thing and used to kill people. And go and look at the history and then understand who we're dealing with and where we are. And then maybe your eyes will begin to open. Then you will say, well, wait, let me listen to something, a different narrative. Take the calls.
Let me
Hi,
just...
good afternoon.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, gents.
Assalamu
alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Imam.
Yes, sir.
Now please educate my ignorance. But when I read the Bible and I look at where the creation of humankind was supposed to have taken place. And I say humankind because it was both men and women and just man. The place that is designated, from my understanding, is Iraq, which was bombed by U.S. coalition forces. The oil fields were protected, but the historical venues, the museums, the libraries, and so forth were not protected. So all of that history just disappeared. Now, a lot of people don't realize that Iraq...
I'll give you the nice answer where you want. I'll give you. Go ahead.
Before Iraq was made a part of the Middle East after World War II, it was known as Northern Africa, part of Northern Africa. And when you get into the real history of black people, of African people, they seem to want to start with slavery when people like Socrates, Pythagoras, and all these Greek philosophers that they praise actually went into Egypt and Ethiopia, Northern Africa, today called the Middle East, to learn. They were apprentices, and when they returned to Greece and they started teaching what they learned in these African nations, some of them were tried, prosecuted.
They killed Socrates. They killed the father of democracy, Socrates. They killed Socrates. They say he was corrupting the youth.
Why? Because he was teaching the people what he learned on the African continent.
Correct.
So if the greatest philosophers in the world went into Africa as students, how could we then be claimed to be ignorant and all of the negative things that they put on us?
Well, when they came, they met doctors. It's just to bastardize it. They say there was witch doctors, but they admit it was doctors. But they make it look bad, so they say it's witch doctors. But they met doctors of the highest class. Let me try to help you with Iraq. Let me try to help you. Yeah. Well, go ahead.
One quick question.
Yeah.
Isn't Imhotep one of the builders of the pyramids in Egypt?
Yes.
Wasn't he also known as the first recorded medical physician in world history?
Well, to my knowledge, yes. But they're all Sudanese, the pharaohs, they all come up all the way up. Now, let me explain something about Iraq. The Jews were enslaved in Iraq, After they were enslaved by Pharaoh, they were also enslaved in Iraq. And the greatest Persian king, Cyrus, is who freed them. Cyrus defeated Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king in Babylon. And when Cyrus defeated Nebuchadnezzar, the king in Babylon, which is Iraq, he allowed the Jews to go back home. And that is why the Jews are so mortally afraid of Iran. Because Iran is, of course, Persia. And Iran is saying to them, after we free all you, look what we're doing to the Palestinians, after we take all you out of bondage, right? Now, Abraham himself was from Iraq. Abraham was born in Iraq, right? He ended up somewhere in Egypt and all kind of things. But since you started with the Bible, I want you to take a little quick note, right? And the quick note is that in Genesis 25, Abraham married a woman, African woman called Keturah, and she had 6 sons. The others just had 1 son, Ishmael and Isaac. But they take all these six boys. All right, I'll get it. They took these 6 boys, out of the Bible. And this is Genesis 25. And then I want you to go to Genesis 15, right? And you will see that God said he come into your children will be enslaved in a land far, far off that is not theirs for 400 years.
400 years.
Yes,
which is how long we have been enslaved.
No, right there, right is now. 1619 is official slavery began, and we reach 400 years now. So this upheaval is written in the Bible, Genesis 15, 12 to 14. Read it and you will see. We have a new guest, the political leader of the NNV, the New National Vision.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Good.
newspapers and find out what's going on with Abubakar. The moon from in Jamat, leader with the machine gun. Abubakar. They went to parliament, brandishing the armament, kidnap the government. Just so. Now depend on where you pass and who you talk to last. Abubakar is a superhero, but people get shoot, businesses get loot, while the city burn. Back up the stand firm till the government do more for the hungry. And before I am your leader, Abubakar. Too much corruption, so they blow the station down. Abubakar. Put the police on the run and take over town. Abubakar.
The only thing constant in life is change. Time to change the change. Hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Time to change the change. If you can look as far as I see, within this great land we call TNT, there's birds and bees, rivers and seas, pretty woman bringing man to their knees. Treasures of this blessed land we always neglect like ISO and pan. I find it so strange the way we arrange. Still this nation don't know how to change. To some change it might just mean a new car, but change could mean less than $1. The most change have this nice scent we usually get from the government. You see, change is something we always say, but every time we change, things remain the same way. Things keep getting worse and worse, so this is what I propose. For a better nation, for all foundations, so that we can say that this nation here came from quite down there. Within we school system, stop change ministers and change what we teach them. Things won't change despite all we do, if change doesn't start with you. Killings galore, so much gunmen fighting needless war. Can't tell you stay, can't tell you go, cause this still the land we used to know. Homeless, every corner you meet, and they complimented by our dirty streets. Then we wonder why, in our sister eye, why they don't like trees to come and spend time. It's much more than paving a whole road, it's greater than fixing a lamp pole. Changes about the whole nation, and how we are portrayed when the party done. Who said the standards in my TMT? I really wish somebody here could tell me. It's just the same thing again and again, like the leaders don't use the brain within our country, so the whole world could see. For a better future, so we don't have to depend.
It's your Culture Crazy Radio, WACK 90.1 FM. We inside the Jamaat Al-Muslimin Speaks.
So, good evening to everyone. Thanks to the Imam and Brother Balak who were on for the hour before. And this is a slight change we're going to have on every Wednesday from 12 to 1 approximately. We're going to have the elders with the Jamaat Al-Muslimin. And then, of course, I hope we all know, but I'll say it again, the new national vision has officially entered the 2020 election campaign race. We have not been here trying to educate and teach and enlighten and speak with the public without now making an effort to create an opportunity for us to make a real change politically. And that's why I always play the Helen Francis. I'm a big fan of Helen Francis. good evening to Mr. Callum Marshall.
Good evening, all. This is Callum Marshall here. Thanks for the back of the introduction, and we are here to to get our message across as to what we look at the change we're looking for in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, most people would know me. Probably some people looking on and see some of my friends coming on the live on Facebook here. But for those of you all out there who don't know me, my name is Callum Marshall. I'm 42 years of age. Don't let the bed fool you. I'm from the Lubbock area. I live Lubbock proper. I've lived there over 40 years, basically all my life. My educational background would be, I went to school in Clifton Hill as in Point 14. I later went on to secondary school right in San Fernando here, San Fernando Government, aka MUDSEC. Later in my tertiary career, I went on to San Fernando Tech, where I studied civil engineering technician. And then afterwards, I went on to my professional career. I worked in Petrotrin as a HSC technician. I worked there all my professional career until, well, as you all know, the famous 2018 closure of the company. And I still work as a HSC professional with the Heritage Hotel, Kinte, one of the contractors there. But we're not here to talk about that today. It's an opportunity for myself to get to know you guys.
Yeah, and for us to get to know you, I plan to do this interview style like Fazil Muhammad.
No problem, bring it on Fazil.
I'm bringing it hard at you,
No problem, man.
No. I started off asking you a little bit earlier. Who are your favorite Calypsonians?
I was saying Trinidad Rio because I love the way he brings across things in our storytelling style, not just straight music and rhythm. You have to listen to everything he say. It's comedic, but also he's a very important message, and I'm really about the message in the music. Even though I know I like all sorts of music, and like everybody else, I want to bop my head and enjoy myself, but important the message in the music, and that is one of the things that is beautiful about our country, our music, the calypso, the soca. Even in a soca, we put your hand in the air.
Plenty soca,
but even with the put your hand in the air, still have a message somewhere deep inside. You listen, there's some, even if it's one line of critique, and you have to listen, and that's what I love about our music.
So Trinidad Rio is your favorite calypso?
That is my artist, man.
All right, cool. In the younger generation, who's your favorite artist?
I was George fan, I grew up with the hand and the Watermaster. Sorry, that my artist.
Hey, you hear this, man? I don't find Iowa George's younger generation, I find Iowa done do the Iowa over to the next side, Yeah, big up to the boss, the boss.
We're talking about also the defending road match champion. You go to the next side. All right.
No, I'm talking about. I promote the new age of Calypsonians as well. I'm a big Karina Shea fan. I'm a big Helen Francis, Mr. Shaq, Ronaldo, Rivaldo, London.
Well, when you start to talk about the new wave, afterwards, Miss Darius from Lubbock, my hometown girl.
All right.
You understand? Right now, she's the defending Calypso Queen of Trinidad and Tobago, Miss Darius. So
okay,
I have to go to that. You know what
all
I mean?
right. Well, I had to listen to some more of she music because I kind of. You can sing a tune for me?
I will not be abuse the people that trying to be going with them that. Don't do me that.
Well, we gotta let you play a little tune from Miss Darius.
Yes.
Because I have to admit, maybe if I hear the song I might know it, but maybe I'm not so aware of her music as much. You cut me and I didn't call half the Calypsonians, the young Calypsonians who I like, and all of them who I want to sing for New National Vision. When I call their name on the radio station.
Yeah, just say the new Calypsonian, the new artists.
They say I ain't bigging them up. If they say I'm not bigging them up.
I know everybody take everything personally.
Yeah, they might want to sing for me.
After you go see your phone blowing up and want to say, you forget me, boy. So.
But in general, I feel as though it is my responsibility as well to encourage the younger artists. And they have made strides and leaps and bounds.
Definitely.
They have been winning the Calypso Monarchs for the past few years.
Not just the Calypso genre, because we may criticize and people have negative things to say about the quote-unquote the Zest movement.
Right.
But I admire them as artists because they have gotten together, they have pushed a new movement, and they are showing the commercial side of it. They're getting inroads into what we consider local content.
Right.
They are going outside in Jamaica, they're really big out there. And if you look at their movement, they must have a little confusion between them, a little forward and back, but ideally, most of the time, they are about the music, they are about promoting the genre, they are about their style, about the not just entertainment, because at the end of the day, as our mentor of mine says, economic trumps all. And they are looking at the economical side of it, and they are good examples and good exemplars because, unfortunately, we all know the horror stories of our past artists, like the Kitcheners and the Sparrows and them, and look at where they are today. financially that is, they should have been in better positions,
Right.
But these new artists, they understand the commercial side, the promotion side, and also the musical side. So I admire them, you know what I mean?
Right.
They mightn't exactly be the greatest fan of their music,
Yeah, in terms of content.
and still I have to listen because I have kids. I coach young kids in my community, so I have to listen to what they're listening to. I have to at least give it a hearing to hear where they're coming from, because they will use certain terms, certain slangs. If I know what they're talking about, I'm lost,
Yeah.
So I really admire that, the quote unquote the Zessin movement, Well, God rest his soul, Lion, these other guys, they're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, and I've been speaking to a number of them in terms of expressing their content in a better way, in terms of adding knowledge and wisdom into their music to direct the youth, because to get tied up, right? The slang of the youth, and they have so much influence
Exactly.
over the young people as well, because people listen to this music over and over. And it has
Definitely.
subliminal messages that get into your head. And that's why I was saying to you, as well, I was saying, how come so much Trinbagonians listen to Calypso, this positive stallion and this one, and then they make such terrible decisions politically? I feel they don't listening to the Calypso. So we had to do some more marketing for WACK, because we want people listening to the right thing. I feel if people just listen to WACK and the good music, that will help them to make the right decision
Definitely.
politically. So
WACK is probably the only station brave enough to stick to local content, because if you look all around you in
Yeah.
New York, Hot 97, they stick to their local music, their genre of hip-hop. In Jamaica, the number one station is strictly dancehall, reggae. But in Trinidad and Tobago, people would say, oh, this might be number one station, but in terms of the culture and in terms of holding their ground, this is number one radio right here.
Yeah.
This is Trinidad and Tobago. No argument about that.
So I know people wondering how we talking so much music, but we on WACK, and we must talk about to talk about other things as well, because in talking about the music, you would understand the type of people that we are, and that's where I want to go, Mr. Marshall or Callum, right?
Yes, man.
That's where I want to go. You as a person, what do? You explained about your work with Heritage, but what's your passion? What do you really do?
My passion is youths and football. I've played football my whole life. Almost every direction I went in was because of that influence of that sport. I love football.
Right.
And through that, I have an interest and a passion for youth development. Because
You look a little big to play football,
well, I don't play anymore.
Stopper, you used to play?
I used to be a goalkeeper.
Oh, goalkeeper, not name passing you.
Yeah, you know what they say, those who can't do does teach. So I can't do anymore. So I started to teach, But I'm gonna do a little job from a football academy,
Right.
Mayan Labby Football Academy.
Right.
We started just over a year ago, and I have to also make mention of my partner in crime, Colonel Marshall, aka Sammy. He has been there from day one with me. As a matter of fact, he was the influencer, and we get not started. But what we have our interest and our passion, we live lobby, we look at how our community is going, we look at the future, because a lot of people forgetting that it's Trinidad and Tobago. Every day is about them kids. It's not about us. We are on the way out, And if you want to have improvement, your judgment of improvement in your community is forward movement. And those kids, those youths, are our measure and mark of improvement. So every time a parent bring one of the kids to join our academy, we give them this speech. This is a youth development program.
Right.
We are using football as the vehicle. So as long as you understand that, we go there. And it also is a tool to keep these kids off the streets, or I shouldn't say off the streets, because what I need to say is keep the kids out of what we consider the wrong road, because different children have different passions, and even though I'm speaking about football, we could look at the arts, we could look at even academic pursuits. We need to find a way to develop our young people. Without our lack of guidance, development, and discipline, this is when we start to have the wrong influences, the wrong behaviors, and when we start to get quote-unquote the criminals.
Right.
So this is our vehicle, our motion, our movement, our plan at this point in time, along with other things, but to help our community and save our community.
How long you're involved with your academy? How long?
Well, the academy in this edition of it is just over a year old, but before we would have had annual summer camps, we call it July, August holidays, but we call it the summer for want of a better expression. We've been doing that about 2 to 3 years, through the Library Footballer Foundation. Larry, Joseph and Co. They were very instrumental and very helpful to us. We have people like Teresa Williams who just be there helping us from the background. I know I could go on and on just like yourself. That's other call names. I was other people showing up on my phone saying they didn't mention myself, So this is our way in which we, one of the tools, one of the vehicles to try and improve our situation in the area of library. And not only library, because I also was one of the founding members and one of the organizers of the now recently concluded library all-season league, where we were boasting comfortably we were the #1 community league in terms of football in the southern hemisphere, but southern part of Trinidad, I should say, easily, and we run for roughly 6 years, and we would have teams from throughout deep south. We'd have players coming from parts of Spain to come and play, and this would be putting on some for the community, because as you know, in the community activities, it also helped with the small businessmen, because you could see around the football field, you see a number of cottage industries who selling pies, who selling the hamburgers, what you name it, and then you will have the families coming out to have good community relations. Well, we had an unfortunate incident which was well publicized. We had a fight, and since then we had some issues with the sponsors, and unfortunately we haven't been able to start back up. But we intend to, because
Just as with the referee.
Yes.
Well, I think Mr. London or one of
them? Michael London. Yes.
Okay.
Well,
we ain't bound to happen that too much. I don't like to stay on negative.
No, it finished in a positive light. The two parties were able to come together and come to a conclusion. We won't get any details, of course.
Yeah.
So and everything. And one thing I always remember, there are no mistakes in life. Lessons to be learned.
Right.
Because I also was a national referee, so
I know what to carry you there, because I know you're a referee too.
Yes, I work closely with the Referee Association on how we should not have these incidents, because that incident wasn't a unique one to Lobby happening in other places. We just get the big best press time, But we shouldn't let our negative keep us down.
Dominate
so, a lot of different security arrangements were put in place. Look, we even recognize that we need to look at the management of the teams in terms of, you don't just take a team involved in your community football because they have the finances that have players. You need to look at who the leadership is, and where we go to leadership just now. So out of this instance, we were able to look at where we went wrong and learn from it. So when we are going to start back the league, we'll have had learned from our lessons and we're to put on a better product.
Yeah, so and I hope we're able to start back that league very, very soon. I want to do a little introduction to what is very important for us to outline to the population of Trinidad and Tobago. The new national vision has been working very hard for a very long period of time to organize ourselves and to organize the best representatives for Trinidad and Tobago. This is a national party once again. I repeat, this is a national party. It is open to all Trinbagonians, regardless of race, creed, class, religion, any type of thing that may divide us. So I want the population of Trinidad to get involved with us. I know a lot of people in Library know Callum Marshall already, and they're involved with you working in different aspects, etc. Even in your professional life as a health and safety officer, you are respected within Heritage now and Petrotrin before. But two of the best options, two of the best candidates you could ever found in Trinidad and Tobago are sitting in front of you, for those viewing live on Facebook and those who are viewing on WACK. Mr. Callum Marshall is the new National Vision candidate for Library, and myself, Fuad Abubakar, I am the candidate for Port of Spain South. So this is the official announcement of two of our candidates. We have many more candidates to come. Strategically, we are continuing to work, finalize with our candidates, finalize with our executive teams in all the constituencies in which we are offering people. But we ask people across Trinidad and Tobago, you have some good news today.
Definitely good.
Right? You have two excellent options, representatives. Let us focus on what those individuals could bring as representatives to those communities, and not just, the party in terms of if it's a big name or if it's a small name or whatever. But be sure the New National Vision is a big name, and in 2020 elections, that will be seen in Trinidad and Tobago. That is a promise. So, I say that to say, why New National Vision, Callum?
Well, I would have known of New National Vision over 5 years now. I first heard you speak in 2015. I was very much impressed with yourself and the party's vision, because we share some of the same tenets and the same thought process how governance should be.
Right.
And the reason why we say I want to be a member of New National Vision, I want to be a parliamentary representative for the people of Lubbock, is because the New National Vision believes in the job title, parliamentary representative.